Well, hello out there, my dear, dear friend. I hope that you are having a wonderful day. This is Blind Dad Does. My name is Ira, and I'm very grateful that you are here with me in this moment in time. Thank you very much for being you. Today is going to be a little bit different. We're just going to be chatting a little bit and talking about some random stuff, random topics, whatever ends up coming to the mind, and getting a little bit weird. And I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit here. I think it got bumped around a little bit. And now you can see my pretty face for all that it's worth. Oh my God, please, please don't look. Save yourselves. Hello, Ollie. Welcome. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. How are you doing over there? I heard that you got affiliate status. Congratulations. That is amazing. Everybody, please check out Ollie B. Absolutely an amazing streamer. You guys will love them to death. So awesome. So we've had a heck of a day here. It's been a heck of a week. I haven't actually been live in a couple of days because I've been sleeping far too much, and I don't like sleeping. I usually get about 5 hours worth of sleep a day if I'm lucky. My body has gotten used to that, and anything beyond that, it tends to not accept at all. So, yeah, I ended up with like 12 hours worth of sleep in the past 24 hours, and that is not good for Ira. I have been in a lot of pain because of it. And I know it sounds odd. But really my body rejects sleep. It's crazy. But I don't know if you guys ever have to deal with something that's along those lines or not, but yeah, it's all kinds of fun, right? I'm going to turn the music up here a little bit. For some reason, my music decided to not work, and I'm not sure why. Maybe that's it. Yeah, there we go. I hit the wrong button. That's what my problem is. I hit the wrong button. I always hit the wrong buttons. That's part of me being blind, I guess. So anyways, I do hope everybody out there is having a good day and having fun and doing whatever it is that you are dreaming of doing, because that is where the full peace lies. We're going to talk a little bit about mental health today. We're going to talk a little bit about, well, anything really. But to get things rolling, I guess I could say, I can talk a little bit about my own mental health and some of the things that I've been through. The reason why I bring this topic up is because throughout the day today, I've been kind of chatting with some people about, the state of mind, state of being, however you want to put it. And, I got reflecting quite a bit on some of the things in my past, and, I've been through a lot. I was diagnosed in my early 20s with manic depression. Back then it was called manic depression. Nowadays it's bipolar disorder. Same difference really, but just terminologies for it. And I know that I have, at the very least, a major amount of PTSD due to the things that I have dealt with over the years, up to and including my blindness and some of the events that I've gone through, which we can talk about here as we go if anybody is curious. And again, as always, my life is an open book, and I am happy to talk about whatever topics you would like to ask me about. I don't have anything to hide and all of that kind of good stuff. So I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about anything, whatever happens to be there. But one of the things that I like to try to focus on is to try to figure out ways to get through whatever moments you're going through. And sometimes it's very difficult to get through the moments that we're going through. They can be, a nightmare sometimes, to say the least. Sorry, I was getting a message there. I was just making sure my stream was doing okay. Is my stream doing okay? Is everybody hearing me okay and everything? I'm just trying to make sure before I go much further here. I think it's doing okay, at least from what I can tell. But yeah, anyways. So for those of you guys just encountering me, I guess I'll go through this here first. For those of you guys just encountering me, yes, I am a blind guy. Anything past about 3 inches in front of my face, I have a very, very difficult time seeing. It gets washed out completely. The particular disorder that I have is called Keratoconus. It was something I was born with, but it didn't actually start kicking in until my early 20s. And then it kind of plateaued and didn't progress any further until I got to my late 30s. And that's when it really kicked in. And within about 6 months or so, I went from being able to drive, to cook, to function, to doing whatever it is that I wanted to do, to what I've got today, which is basically not much. Blindness is considered anything beyond 2200 in your good eye after correction. And for me, after correction, in my good eye, I have 3600. It is pretty obscene. The big E that's on the little optometrist's things that they use, in order for me to discern that that is actually an E, it would have to be about 20 feet tall and about 6 feet away from me to be able to actually discern any edging of it enough to say, yeah, that's an E. It's pretty insane, you know, but being diagnosed with that gave a lot of trauma, a lot of PTSD. I had to come to terms with this new factor of my life and being told, hey, you're not going to have any choice. This is the way that you are going to have to be from this point forward, unless you decide to do something like a corneal transplant. And even a corneal transplant would only take things so far. It would only improve things by about 10%. Okay, well, when your vision is that horrible, improving it by 10%, okay, that might be something that somebody might consider, right? But throw into it the fact that there would be so much more risk involved with it, up to and including going completely blind, totally black blind, dim blind, everything gone, having to have cataract surgery every year because of the steroids that I would have to use in my eyes to make sure that everything is like not swelling up all the time, and also take anti-rejection drugs, and have the risk that if I touch my eye in the wrong way, suddenly, boop, there goes the transplant. All these risk factors are there to take into consideration. And it was very difficult for me to come to the decision that no, I don't think that it's worth the risk. Because even if I was to go through that surgery, again, that amount of risk that's there would be difficult to come to terms with, but also it means that there's no chance of me ever getting any better than what I am right now. So I had to really deal with, or I guess come to peace with the fact that what I've got is what I've got. And I had to try to warp and shift my life all the way around to accommodate this new state of being that I was in. And that was hard. That was very hard. Ollie, how you doing out there tonight? I see you're over there. I saw the chat come in. Sorry. Sometimes I miss a little bit of chat here and there. Just bear with me. I'll catch up to it as soon as I can. Good. I'm glad. How's your mental state doing today? You learned how to swim today. That is amazing. That is an accomplishment. It took me a bit of doing to learn how to swim, and it took somebody throwing me into the water before I actually really picked up on it. So hopefully you didn't have to go through that. Haven't thought about your mental state today. See, that's good. That's actually a good thing, because sometimes when we're going through the worst of things is when we're very focused on our own mental state, So the fact that you haven't thought very much about it means that it's not something that's there at the forefront bothering you or kicking in. So that's a good thing. That's a nice way to be. That's a nice state to be in. Mine's been okay. I've had to deal with a couple of things here of late. This time of year is usually kind of rough on me, as far as my own mental state goes, but I'm getting through it. I'm getting by with it, and it is what it is, right? Yeah, it's okay though. It's okay. I guess the best thing that I can do is to say that it's difficult to come to peace with some of the things that we have going on in our lives, or the things that we've had to go through in our lives. But when you do, once you do come to peace with it, there's not much that can really like affect you as it once did. It disempowers a lot of the things that can cause you the grief and hardship and heartache and that kind of thing. It's not easy though. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy. It has taken a lot of work, and I'm still not through everything, but it's like, it's not there preying on my mind every minute of every day like it used to. You know, I hope that makes sense. But it's good. You know, it's good to find that place, that position to be in. And hopefully like things that I guess one of the things that I like to do with these shows is to not only give people like something entertaining, you know, and at least I hope I'm reasonably entertaining. I don't know, but you guys would have to tell me. But I'd also like to make sure that people like come away from it with a better state of mind than when they walked into it. That's sort of the point, you know, that's sort of the thing that I like to try to do, is to be there for people in some kind of a supportive way. So, you know, things like the LGBT community, I like to be very supportive of the people that are there, because while I'm not fully in it, you know, I'm bi, but I'm not fully in the community. I still see what people have gone through in that community, and it's horrible. So people that are there need to know and understand that there is somebody that is there to support them. And that's one thing that I'm trying to do, is to be that, you know, supportive person that they can trust, I guess, or at least, you know, feel that they can come to and say, hey, this is what happened today, or hey, this is what happened to me recently, and I'm kind of upset about it. Can I at least talk to you about it? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to be a person who's going to, you know, try to make your life worse or harder. You know, I'll try to do whatever I can to help ease that burden. Hi, Jolene. Hi. Love you, baby. My wifeling decided to show up. So, yeah, mental health, mental states, mental awareness, mental being is a hard topic, but it's one that is a passion point for me. You know, I want to make sure that people are feeling safe, feeling that there's somebody that's there that can understand, you know. So again, when I was in my 20s, early 20s, I was diagnosed as bipolar. Back then it was manic depression. So that's what they pinned on me, you know, and this was 30 years ago. So, you know, quite a while back. And even then there wasn't much as far as support systems for people that were diagnosed with these things. One of my exes, the first day that she had her period, ended up getting stuck in a mental institution because her mom said, you're not acting right. Well, no wonder. You're 12 years old. You're just starting your period for the first time. You're not going to be acting like quote unquote normal. You might have a couple of issues, right? So that's how people were treated then. You know what I mean? So, hey, Hogan, welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Manic depression, that is what they used to call bipolar disorder. So, you know, going between depression and anxiety and all that kind of stuff to the other side of things where you're very, you know, hyper manic, that kind of thing, focused and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Hogan's awesome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you showed up. Awesome. So grateful for you to be here. We're just kind of talking about mental health, mental status, you know, support kind of things, just trying to be a space where people can come and get a little bit of support and communication, you know? So, So anyway, yeah, back then, it was a lot different than it is even today. And I know even today, it's still not really where it needs to be, those support systems in place. I know people that have gone through a lot of trouble in their lives because of the mental things that are going on with them. And they just feel like they're so alone and abandoned. Listen, I'll tell you what, I used to work at a state hospital, and most of them these days are actually closed down because of the way that they were set up it was a nightmare. And so like I was there as a caretaker for the people that had been put into this certain facility. And it was big enough that they had multiple buildings, multiple tiers. And so the people that I worked with had been in there for years, like most of them from birth forward. And they were of a mental status where basically like these 50-year-old guys and 60-year-old guys were almost infants because they had never had any support system. And back when they were put in, their families were told, well, we'll take care of these kids. We know that you have this rough time. You're not going to be able to take care of them. So we'll take them. And they basically became wards of the state, and just flung into these facilities where it was absolute. They were ignored. They were mistreated. They were beaten. They were raped, you name it. They went through a lot of stuff, so I tried to do what I could to give them days that were better than the previous, you know what I mean? So, so my thoughts on psychiatry, my thoughts on psychiatry have actually changed over the years. It used to be that I hated the idea of it, and I still do to a point, because you want to find ones that are willing to listen to what you've got going on. And if you don't feel that medication is the right pathway for you or the right thing for you, you need to find a psychiatrist that says, okay, I will work within that restriction that you have. Let's see what we can do to get you help elsewhere, whether it's through therapy or whatever the case may be. I don't think that every time medication is the right pathway. It wasn't for me. For me, medications like a lot of the medications for mental health are SSRI based, and if I take an SSRI medication, it flings my whole system completely out of whack. It is a disaster. So I can't do them. You know what I mean? But I try to do things in other ways to make it so that I'm getting through the days that I need to get through, because there are still some days where I have difficulties. We all do, no matter how good you might feel, or no matter how good you might think that you have it, you're still going to go through days that are rougher than others. You're going to wake up and for whatever reason, all the puzzle pieces didn't fit into place during your sleep or whatever, and so you wake up and you're feeling worse than you did the day before. That happens, but you've got to try to figure out ways to just get through until the next day. You got to push through until the next day. And, that's not easy, so sometimes you do need to have like some kind of support system in place, an ally of some kind that's there to help you to get through until that next day, or until the day after, or the day after, whatever it takes to get you through, that plateau and that crevice that you're, going up and down in. It's rough, it is. It's very hard to find somebody that you can trust enough to allow that to happen, I get that too, actually. I was that way for a long time too. I've kind of opened up over the years, and at this point I'm kind of an open book, I guess you could say, about everything that I've gone through and everything that I am going through. only because I'm trying to be an advocate for people to be able to like have a place that they can be. You know what I mean? One thing that I did to help me like process emotions without talking to anybody else about them was to write. I wrote stories, and the way that I would write them was almost like a cathartic experience. I would write the story about a particular emotion that I would feed into into the words that were pouring out. And most of those stories never saw the light of day, and they probably never will. So it was only for me, you know, it was only for my benefit and nobody else's. I also did like poetry, and it was bad poetry, you know. You don't have to write good poetry to get emotions out. You can just write, you know, whatever comes down. But one way or the other, it's a way to help like process a little bit. And if you want to try something like that, I would say, yes, you could like do it as typing, but it's almost better to do it with your hands, doing like handwritten out, like in a notebook or something like that. Because there's a little trick of the brain basically where when you're typing, yes, you're connecting with your brain and everything like that, but there's a process that happens when you're actually mindfully writing down, you know, ink to paper. There's a mindfulness thing that happens where it sort of like clicks a little bit harder as it's coming out. So maybe that's an idea that you can do. And you know, when you're done with it, if you don't want anybody else to read it, burn it and just let it go into the universe as much as you can, you know, kind of, again, be mindful of the fact that, hey, okay, I'm burning this because I'm going to let this emotion go, or I'm going to let this particular thing go. And that doesn't mean like letting it go permanently. It just means letting it go for that moment in time. I hope that makes sense. That's what I would do. That's what I did do. And it worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, right? Because everybody's a little bit different. But if you've never tried it, it might be something that would be worthwhile trying, just to see if it does work. Because you never know until you give it a shot, you know? So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people do talk about it because it is something that does work. It's weird, but it does do something like to the serotonin in the brain to help it kind of balance a little bit, I guess you could say. Another thing, like what I ended up kind of figuring out for myself, and again, this is what worked for me, but it might not for everybody, but I kind of got to a point in my life where, see, I had gone through a lot. I mean, I have been through everything that is possible for a human to go through besides like death itself and giving birth myself. Like pretty much everything else, you name it, I've been through it in some kind of way. And, so there's a lot of trauma that's there, right? But, I still find myself being a pretty happy person overall. I have my days, don't get me wrong, but I do find myself being like a happy person overall because, I realized that so I took a look and I saw like what in my life is making me happy, right? What in my life is there that I can find some joy in, and what can I do to increase it so that I feel that joy more often or more solidly, I guess is the better way to put it. And, so what I did was I looked at these different traumas that I've had in my life and realized that in order to experience as much joy as I could with what I have, I needed to be, and it sounds odd, it sounds tripe, but it really does work. I needed to find like a way to be almost grateful for the things that I had been through, because I needed to keep in mind that without going through everything that I had gone through, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, and I wouldn't have the joys that I have right now. So for me to hold on to resentments and angers and that kind of thing from those traumas, it would diminish the periods of joy that I do have. So it took a long time, and I'm not done with it yet. Don't get me wrong. I'm not done with it by any means, but it helps. At least it helps me to like remind myself that I am happy. You know what I mean? Because there are days where I'll wake up and I just don't feel it. I don't. But then like my wife and I, and this is her fault, by the way, this is her fault. My wife and I, every night before we go to sleep, kind of do this little ritual where we tell ourselves 3 things that we're grateful for, 3 things that were positive that day that happened, one reason why we're proud of ourselves, what happened today that made us proud of ourselves, or what we're proud of in general, and then also what about ourselves we can say that we love about ourselves. And since we started doing that, it has actually helped. And I blame her, right? But it has actually helped to kind of push that gratitude a little bit further in those moments where I've needed it. Because this time of year is rough on me. It really is. This time of year is rough on me. There have been a lot of experiences that have kind of surrounded this time period in my life, this time of year. And so I kind of have a tendency to like slip a little bit down into depression and down into, just not being able to feel joy or feeling a little bit disconnected and stuff. Yes, Jolene. Yeah, and you got it on record now. It's on video. You're gonna throw it right up in my face the next time I say no, I don't want to do this anymore. So because there are times where she'll have me do it, right, and I'm just like, I really don't feel like doing it, but then afterwards I feel better. I do. I feel better for having done it. So again, that might be something, and if you don't have anybody that you can do it with, maybe it's something that you can do for yourself, write it down or something like that for yourself and see if it does like give you some benefit out of it. Sometimes we have to find these little tweaks that get us through, sometimes we have to find these little bits of moments, to get us through. And that's sort of the point. Is just getting through until the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. Right. Hogan, exactly. See, that's one of the things that I had to figure out is that, okay, I'm just going to lay things on the line for you here. Okay. My first wife tried to kill me on our honeymoon. I've got a big scar on my shoulder from where she stabbed me with a butter knife on our honeymoon. She did it because she thought, and again, she had mental issues going on too, right? This was the same one that went through she was institutionalized because she started her period. Okay, that's going to mess somebody up from the get-go, right? That's going to really screw with somebody's head. But she tried to kill me on our honeymoon. She was pregnant. And the stress from the wedding and being pregnant at the same time sort of sent her over the edge. She slipped into a psychosis. And so she claimed that I was her dead uncle come back to life, and that the baby that was inside of her was actually her cousin that I turned into a fetus and put it into her belly so that when it was born, I could take it away. She was protecting the baby. Right after our honeymoon, right after we got married, she ended up going into the mental hospital, and she was there for weeks, because she slipped so hard. That was rough. Okay. That was rough. And coming away from it, I had a lot of anger and I didn't know how to deal with it. That relationship did not last very long because I did not know how to deal with it. I was young. I was only 19 years old, and I'm stepping into this situation where not only I've got this baby coming, but the mother of the baby is this, at the time I didn't exactly know how to put things, but I psycho hose beast kind of a thing. She stabbed me in the middle of the night, thinking I'm her dead uncle. What the crap is going on here? So and then my second wife, who I ended up with not too long after I left the first one, because I just fell into this pattern of needing to be with somebody. was severely abusive, and I couldn't escape her for 5 years. And I mean, she traumatized me like crazy, right? Anyways, moving on though, the reason that what got me through was the attitude of gratitude towards what happened to me, knowing that if nothing else, now I know I'm never going to treat anybody else that way. You see what I mean? The experiences that I got, I know I am never going to put anybody else through. And I can be grateful in a way for that because it's not something that I knew before, right? I was raised by a whiskey drunk who was very abusive. And so I know some people, like when you're raised in that kind of an environment, you're kind of going to go one of two ways, and there's not much in between. You're either going to turn into an abusive whiskey drunk yourself, or you're going to go as far away from that kind of thing as you possibly can. Okay. So I felt like I could be grateful, or at least thank them in some kind of way for giving me the knowledge that I'm never going to allow that kind of thing not only to happen through me, but I can also teach my kids never to fall into those kind of things either. You see what I mean? So if nothing else, that kind of thing can help you to push through the boundary that's there, saying, I got to hold on to this because this is what happened to me, you know, because we do fall into that in a big way, and it really can be a big trap for our lives. It can be, it can almost be like a cancer that just eats you over and over, and you don't know how to get rid of it. You don't know how to cure it. Well, you're never going to cure it. It's always going to be a part of yourself. It's part of your makeup now, right? You're never going to be a person that didn't have that happen. But what can you do with that to try to find some peace in yourself so that it doesn't rule over you, you know? And that's where the trick is. That's where it gets hard, because every person is a little bit different and has to like come to terms with it in their own way. This kind of stuff is what worked for me, and I don't know what's going to work for you. But something will. You will get through everything that you've been through. I hope that makes sense to you. Either way, just know, one way or the other, if you ever want to talk about anything that you've been through or anything like that, the place that I've formed is a safe place to do it, right? You're never going to be judged. You're never going to be cast away. You're never going to have any negativity from me, the things that you've been through. I do hope that you understand that. So yeah, I really do. I really do understand that. I lived my life angry for a very long time, and I could feel it. You know, it really was getting to me in so many ways. Sometimes what the first step that needs to be taken is trying to figure out, okay, where is the anger stemming from? Like what is triggering it? What is causing it to like be there? And is there a way that I can eliminate that toxicity somehow, right? So like another example is the family on my dad's side especially, but my mom's side too. Both of them were extremely toxic for me. Again, my dad was a whiskey drunk. My mom was a neglectful person, and the whole families were basically the same way. Drunkards and thieves was really what it comes down to. And I knew I needed to remove that toxicity from my life. So I walked away. Just because you're saddled with somebody genetically doesn't mean that you have to have anything to do with them. If they're a toxic environment for you, you can walk away so that you can find that sense of peace within yourself. And that's not easy sometimes, but again, sometimes it has to be done. You know, you sometimes just have to cut the cancer away, you know? And so I ended up having to do that. And the impetus of getting myself to that point was the fact that I had this child that was on the way, and I didn't want any of my kids exposed to the same kind of toxicity that I was raised with. So I did it for them, in the end of things. I did it for them because I didn't want them being raised in the same kind of way that I was. Now, granted, I'm not going to save them from all the traumas. I mean, growing up, you're going to have traumas. That's just the way it is these days. In this day and age, nobody grows up free of traumas. You're always going to have some there in some kind of way. It's just the way of the world, but I could try to do things to minimize it. So I knew that was one of the trauma points for me, that I needed to walk away from it. And there was going to be no way that I could come to peace with those things within myself until I got them out of my life. So, the only person that I have any dealings with, two people, my mom, who has dementia, and she does live with us, because she doesn't have anywhere else to go. And, one of my sisters and her kids, and only because, oddly enough, she was never raised with us. My dad and her mom got together before he got together with my mom, and she was born, he didn't even know that she had the kid. So in my 20s and her 20s, we ended up funny story, we ended up moving in next door to each other and became friends. And one day she came over and said, "Is your dad's name Ted?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Ted Robinson?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I thought so. I'm your sister." And I'm just like, okay. I mean, my dad was a whore. It didn't come as any surprise to me that there was other brothers or sisters out there in any kind of way. So, but we ended up becoming really good friends. And once we realized that we had that familial tie, it was really good because neither of us wanted to have anything to do with those families. And yet here we were, being able to have that connection. And it was really nice, so she ended up finding out about my dad being her dad because one of my dad's friends actually ended up working with her mom and ended up finding out who her father was. So yeah, just weird things, that happen sometimes. But we're still close to this day, and it's been, 30 years, and she's definitely not a toxic part of my life. But again, she wasn't raised with us either. So she didn't have that in there to begin with, I guess. Funny too, that with her, us getting to know each other, one of the weirdnesses that happens is this concept of nature versus nurture. What makes up our makeup is, a lot of times said, well, no, it's because of the way that you were raised or the environment that you're raised in and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's the other aspect of things that says, no, everything that we go through or the habits that we have and so on and so forth are done through the genetics, that it's kind of all pre-programmed into us. And so she and I are kind of like a great textbook example of nature having quite a bit of things to do with our makeups. Because I used to smoke, now I vape, you'll see me vape here and there on the stream, but I used to smoke and she smoked as well. And so we realized actually that the way that we smoke, the way that we hold our cigarettes, so on and so forth, was exactly how Dad smoked, like the same exact mannerisms and mechanisms that would go on were the same thing that our dad did. And yet she was not raised with him and didn't realize who he even was until her 20s. You see what I mean? And there were a lot of other things like the way we hold our heads and so on and so forth when thinking. And I mean, just a big laundry list of things that all are the same things that our dad would do. And yet again, she wasn't raised with us, you see? So it's kind of weird, but right. Hogan. Yeah, exactly. And if there's a way that you can make it so that they don't come into your life at all, I would definitely recommend doing it because you don't need to relive it. And if that's not possible, which I can understand, if that's not possible though, is there something that you can do? Like, okay, you said that the anger is there. Okay. And, a lot of people say that anger is a negative emotion. And in some ways it is, okay? Especially if it's unchecked, but there are different versions of anger. There's different reasons for anger to be there. One of them is righteous anger. So if you run across a situation that pisses you off, right? That's a righteous anger. There's a reason for that anger to be there. And it's because, again, nature has kind of put it within us that if we see an injustice, if we see something happening, if we see something that is a reason for our anger, the anger is there to help us be an impetus to change things. It's there to give us the energy and the strength to push through, to make a change either in our lives or to the environment around us, to make it so that whatever is angering us doesn't exist anymore. Now, if it's an unchecked kind of anger and you're not being able to control it, that's a little bit of a different situation. What you need to do is figure out what is triggering the anger, what is the anger about, and what can you do then to make it so that the anger is a righteous anger and is therefore I don't want to say just valid, because every emotion is valid, but I mean having a reason to be there, and what can you do to act upon it besides killing people or things like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating violence or anything like that, right? But what can you do to help it make you energized to make that change within your life that needs to happen? Because if the anger's there, again, it's there for the reason. You see what I mean? That may be one of the things that you need to do, to help you start the recovery process with all of this. I hope this is helping. I do. I hope that this is helping and not hindering in any kind of way, but but it's for me, again, anger is there for a reason. It has a purpose. And if you can figure out the purpose, if you can figure out what you can do to make it so that the anger helps you focus, then that is the key to getting through it all and coming to a point in your life where you're no longer feeling the anger because you've taken care of the situation that was causing the anger to begin with. And two, sadness, sadness is kind of almost another component of all of that, because sadness is there almost as a reaction. Most of the time it's there as a reaction to the fact that we haven't taken care of what's necessary. You see what I mean? Again, if you're holding on to these other things, then the sadness is there because and again, chemistry is a part of it too, right? It could be chemistry that's causing the issues too. I'm not disregarding that, but I'm meaning non-chemically wise, if there's something that you've been through that you're not coming to terms with, then it might be that the sadness is there to again, give you a clue that, hey, something you haven't dealt with something. So what do we need to deal with to make it so that gets resolved? Hi, Christian. Welcome to the show. I hope that you're having a really good day out there, and hope that I'm making sense with all of this. Unfinished business, yeah, that's a big part of it. When we're going through things, I guess let me put it to you this way: everything that we do, every choice that we make in life is done through a filter of every experience that's come before it. That can be watching TV shows, movies, people that you pass on the street, the people that give you glances, around, and that kind of thing. All of these things are swirling around in our subconscious. They're a part of our makeup. They're a part of our being. And so we make every decision through the lens of that set of circumstances that we've gone through. So when you're looking at things that you're doing choice-wise, sometimes we feel like we don't really understand why we made the choices that we do. But if you can figure out a way to kind of like backstep a little bit, you know. Again, mindfulness is a thing, you know, where you're focusing your attention on why did I make this choice in the way that I did, and you can kind of come up with almost a laundry list of things that you have to like come to terms with or deal with. You see what I mean? Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat here. Give me just a moment, guys. I have trouble seeing it, so. Okay, so listen, again, I've been through abuse myself, okay, many times. I've been through it with my father. I've been through it with my ex-wife. I've been through it with others. And I'm not talking, you know, verbal. I'm talking physical, sexual, everything, you name it. I've been through abuse. It's, pardon my French, but it's fucking horrible. Okay, it really is. And it's hard to move forward from it. It really, really is. And it took me a very long time to try to figure out how to incorporate it into my life in such a way that I could at least survive until the next day. I tried committing suicide 33 times throughout the years. Okay. And obviously I didn't succeed, thankfully. Right. But I'm being open book with you guys so that you guys know that I'm not just talking shit here. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through this. I know what you guys are going through because I've been through it. Not exactly. I'm not you, right? But I've been through the same emotions. You know what I mean? It is very difficult to confront your abusers. It really is. And I don't know if you're ever going to be able to do it, but my ex, who was abusive to me, died some years ago. And I had to figure out how to deal with that, because it's like, am I supposed to grieve this person who was abusive towards me? You know, am I supposed to be grateful that they're dead? You know, Audrey Hepburn, I think it was, or was it Rita Hayworth? Maybe it was Audrey Hepburn, said, you know, about somebody, my mama always told me never to speak bad of the dead, so she's dead. Good. You know what I mean? Like, am I supposed to have that kind of an attitude about it? Am I supposed to be angry? Am I supposed to, you know, hold on to the resentments and so on and so forth? And it's not something that I wanted to do for myself. I didn't want to carry that kind of thing with me. I had to make a choice to figure out how to let that go, or at least to let the impact of it go. I'm never going to get over what happened to me. I still wake up sometimes having nightmares about it all, and I feel that same emotional impact, you know, throughout the day. Just not that long ago, for instance, see, I've always had problems making a particular meal. This is going to be a little rough to talk about. Okay. I know, I'm sorry if we're getting really deep here, but I feel like you guys are interested in this stuff and really want to hear about this kind of stuff, you know, and talk about this kind of stuff. But, so if you're here for a fun stream, you know, give me a moment, 'cause we're getting through some deep stuff here. Okay. So, one time during my second marriage, in my memory of things. Okay. And this again goes into how the weirdness that our brain does. Okay. In my memory of things, this woman, I walked into the room, was cooking, and I said, hello. And she turned around with a 21-inch cast iron skillet and thwacked me upside the head. And I was knocked out. And when I woke up, she was standing over me, you know, with her evil face, you know what I mean? And, Loner, thank you so much for the follow. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. I am extremely grateful for you taking these moments in time to be here with us. And welcome. I hope you're having a really good night. So in my memory of things, that's what occurred. But over the years, whenever I try to make a certain meal and it doesn't turn out well, I get very, very upset. I get angry at myself. I get very nasty at myself. I mean, it's like I go through the gamut of, and again, pardon my French here, but what the fuck, Ira? What did you do? You did this wrong. God damn it. You did it again, and I will beat the shit out of myself over it. Okay. And I can't figure out why. Like, I don't know why that was there, because it's just pancakes. It's just freaking pancakes. You know what I mean? So just not that long ago, it was what, hun, 6 months ago, maybe? And this was years ago, mind you. This was years ago that this happened to me with her. Okay. I was in my 20s and I'm 50 now. So then like this, 6 months ago, suddenly it, like, my mind woke up and I had the flash of memory of exactly what ended up occurring. It was that I was making pancakes. I burned them and she thwacked me with the skillet. Now my mind had warped it over the years to cover up that trauma in such a way that I blamed myself for it, even though she's the one that did it, right? But I figured out a way that I could blame myself subconsciously, but I couldn't do it consciously. That's why the other memory was there, that I had walked in and said hello and she thwacked me. That was the memory that my mind made up to give me reason to, like, not accept that it was me that made the mistake, quote unquote, right? Now, granted, it wasn't right of her to do that in any kind of way, but my mind had to figure out a way to survive through it. So it blamed her, because if I blamed myself, maybe it would have caused even more trauma to myself or something, But now that I know the reason for that being there, now that I know the truth, and I've seen that true memory, I can come to a decision to change things for myself, either by dealing with the pancake situation itself or by not making pancakes again, which is what is the choice that my family has basically made for me, because they don't want to see me have to go through the stuff. So my wife, my kids, they're all like, no, we'll make you pancakes from now on. Don't worry about it. It's just a pancake. You know what I mean? So it was trying to justify it. Right. Exactly. Because of the trauma, the abuse. When you go through abuse, sometimes you figure out ways to justify what the other person is doing, because obviously it's my fault. You know what I mean? If I didn't do this thing, then maybe I wouldn't have gotten beaten, or maybe I wouldn't have gotten yelled at, or whatever the case may be, So our brains will, even though it was not a justifiable situation, it was just me screwing up pancakes. She had no right to ever do that to me, but I blamed myself anyway, you see. But it was like the subconscious part of me was blaming myself, not the conscious part. And that's where the weirdness comes in with our brains, because sometimes our subconscious finds ways to blame ourselves, and we might not even recognize the reason why. That's the hell of it. We might not even recognize the reason why it's there. But it's there because of that filter of all the experiences that we've gone through. I hope that all that makes sense. That's where the brain gets really screwy. You know what I mean? And it's a pain in the ass to try to figure out how to get through all the stuff that we've been through. It's rough, my friend. Yeah, the false memory thing, it really is that alone is a real big nightmare part of the whole gamut of it all, and it's hard to try to trace down where the falsehoods are and where the truths are. And if you don't have somebody that has been through it with you that was able to like see it happening and try to call out what the truth was, you may not ever figure it out. I think I got lucky, and I don't know what it was that ended up happening that really like triggered that other memory to come back up, you know, to allow me to figure it out. Maybe just one day the universe said, you know what, here you go. You know, it like opened up for me or something. I don't know. It could be that I had a dream or something like that. And the dream was the memory. And then, you know, the waking experience triggered the dream to come back to me or something. I don't know. I mean, all of it is there still kicking around in our brain somewhere. It's just buried, you know, it's buried down, and we might not ever see it. Yeah. And see, because it's that shared abuse thing. I mean, you may not ever find out the truth from them. Yeah. You may not. And it may be that just one day out of nowhere, it strikes you like lightning, and you realize the truth, and you can start dealing with it and coming to terms with it, you know, or make changes in your life that'll help to like accommodate it being there. Like, again, you know, my kids and my wife saying, no, don't ever make pancakes again. We'll make it for you. You know, it's hard though. It really is. I guess the one thing that I would also like give you as something to keep in mind with all of it is that, regardless of whatever else you've been through, you're here, you're a survivor, and that's what counts. That's what counts. And you may not ever know. But if you need to know, you'll know. I know this sounds tripe. It really does. It does, but it's there for a reason. Okay. It's a phrase that's meant to be useful. Sometimes the things that we've been through, sorry guys, I'm getting a little emotional here. Sometimes the things that we've been through, we are not prepared to handle, and our brains will do what they can to help us survive until the next day. Because if we knew what we had really gone through in that moment in time, we might not make it to the next day. It might actually be enough to destroy us. Okay. So our brains will do what it can to protect itself and protect you, to help you survive until the next day. So I'm kind of a full believer in the thought that if I'm meant to know, I'm going to know. You know what I mean? And I'm going to know when my brain is ready to know. I'm going to try to pronounce your name correctly. Wee Rooney, thank you so much for being here in this moment in time. I deeply appreciate, I'm deeply grateful for you being here. And I am grateful that you are getting something out of this experience. For those of you guys just tuning in, welcome. My name is Ira. I am a blind guy. My username is legit for a reason. I am a blind guy. I can't see basically anything past about 3 inches in front of my face. So I'm trying to get by with doing all this streaming stuff and reading the chat and everything as best as I can. So pardon me if I do miss things, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Never be sorry for who and what you are, you know, and I say this, listen, I have a dad moment, and this is why I'm Blind Dad Does, right? I have a dad moment in every stream that I do at least once, right? But here you go. This is the one for me right now. Okay. No matter who you are, no matter what you are worthy of being loved, and don't ever let anybody ever teach you any different. Okay. My friend, you are worthy of love. And if nobody else wants to say it to you, I love you. If you're not being evil in this world, I love you. Absolutely. 100%. You have it from me. Okay. You are worthy of being loved. Don't let anybody ever take your power away. Don't let anybody ever take your power away. You are worth it. You are worthy of love. Okay. Let me go back on chat here a little bit and catch up a little bit. Martin, I'm sorry I missed your text there. Welcome to the stream. I'm so glad that you're here. So glad that you're here. Thank you. Yes, the repression and self-guilt, it really is hard. It really is hard. And you're also correct 100% that our brains are not always right either, you know. And oh, Iron Save, hey, how you doing, brother? It is so nice to see you again. I've been streaming for a little while here and just talking about mental health stuff and trying to, you know, just have a really good night and really good conversation here with folks. And I'm glad that you're here with me. Thank you. Our brains are kind of wicked sometimes, you know. They will do anything that it takes to survive. This is a weird thought experiment, right? But this is kind of the way that I believe things are. Our brains evolved for one reason, you know, when our ancestors were running around in the Serengeti, running away from the lions and so on and so forth. Our brains evolved with one intention, and that is to survive, right? I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit because this is important, right? Anything that we do different from what we are right now, our brains are terrified of because it thinks we're going to die. It is accustomed. You are surviving in whatever circumstance you are in at this moment in time, and it's going to do everything that it can do to keep you in that circumstance, because if you do anything else, you're going to die. That's what its fear is. That's what it's afraid of. So it will do what it can to make sure that you don't change, because change means death, or at least to it, or the risk of death. You see what I mean? There's danger in change. So our brains will actively resist against us in any kind of change that we deem necessary in our lives to be able to improve our lives. If you have a car that's breaking down, you know, your brain's going to come up with all the excuses. We can't afford it. We can't do it. No, it's not going wrong. No, that dummy idiot light doesn't mean anything, so on and so forth. Knowing that you need to take care of it or the car is going to break down fully, right? But the brain says, no, if we're going to do that, then we risk death. You see what I mean? So, Rydog, thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate all of you guys coming in and being a part of this. I fully am grateful in every way for every moment that you guys give. I'm aware of the sacrifice of time, and can't thank you enough for being here. So anyways, as far as our survival goes, you know, it also applies to the mental states that we're in too, because right now, all of the sadnesses, angers, depressions, anxieties, fears, all of that stuff that's simmering around in your brain right now, your brain is going to try to do what it can to make sure that those things remain, because if you were to do otherwise, you're risking death. You're risking that you won't survive, because it's used to, it's accustomed to, and it knows how to deal with the circumstance that you're in right now, because that's all it knows. You see what I mean? Talking about it does help. It really does. You know, therapy is a thing. If some people don't agree with therapy, some people don't like therapy. I'm in it myself now. I never had been before, but I just started going, like, I don't know, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that. I just decided, you know what, I think I'm going to try it and see what happens. And it's been good. You know, it's been good. It's kind of funny because my therapist is always like, you know, you guys have gone through so much in your lives, and I don't understand how you're still, you know, smiling and still functioning. And yet, you know, you're actually, you know, like, she's like, I don't know why you're in therapy, because you've already got this stuff figured out. You know what I mean? But it's good to have somebody that's like neutral in all of the situations to just bounce things off of, even if you already kind of know what you need to do to get through it or whatever the case may be. It's still good to at least bounce it off of, because when you talk about things, you solidify things. You know, when you talk about things, you make it so that instead of it being just a concept that's floating around inside of your brain, it becomes a real thing. You know, if you want to take a look at it this way, look at quantum mechanics, right? Every possibility exists at every moment in time until it's observed, and everything then goes away and only the one thing exists. It's kind of the same way, you know, when you When you make a decision, when you talk about something, you're making it into a real solid thing. And that solid thing is better to deal with because it's right there in front of you rather than just these concepts that are floating around over and over in your brain. Of course, getting yourself to that point is a little bit hard. It's a little bit difficult to come to terms with the fact that you do need to talk about it. It's not always easy. It really isn't. But even coming into something like this and just venting in a chat room to somebody that's neutral to you, even that can be enough to get that ball rolling inside of yourself so that you can make those changes that are going to be necessary to help you get through. It's a difficult process. It really is. And it's a long-term process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It didn't for me. I mean, it took me a very long, I'm 50, and the things that I went through with my second wife were when I was in my early 20s, the things that I went through with my father was when I was quite young, so it's taken a very long time to like come to terms with everything, but I'm getting there, maybe. I'm getting there. Hogan, you bring up something that's really important. You really do have to like figure out who you can trust with all of it. And that's why sometimes strangers are actually the best thing to do, at least at first, until you can start processing stuff. And I am very deeply sorry that you have gone through all of the experiences that you've gone through. I really am. And I do hope that just talking about it tonight has like helped you in any kind of way. I'm very grateful for you being here and sharing everything with me, with us. It's not easy to admit when these things are going on with you. Right, dog. Yes, exactly. Getting that feedback sometimes, I guess one of the things that I've been able to do over the years, and I'd love to give this to you guys too, and see if maybe it'll help you out too. I've been able to do this myself, right? But one of the advantages of talking to somebody else is that they're not in the situation with you. Okay. They can kind of take that outsider's viewpoint, that outsider's perspective, and give you input on what you might be going through and ways that you could get through it. And again, for myself, like I call it the overview effect. It's sort of the, when the astronauts would go up into space and they would look down on the Earth, they were able to look at the Earth as a holistic thing, as opposed to their own individual lives that they're going through, right? They're able to like kind of conceptualize, wait, every single person that has ever existed is right there on this little ball of rock that's right here before us, right? Everything in history that has ever taken place is right here. It gives you like a different mindset to look at the world through. And so I've been able over the years to kind of do that for myself, and it's not an easy thing to like accomplish. And I'm very grateful that I've been able to do it, because when I'm going through everything that I'm going through, I'm able to kind of like step back a little bit and try to look at it from an outsider's point of view, even though it's the stuff that's happening within myself. And it does help. Like, I don't always succeed at it, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't always succeed at it, but I can do it here and there. You know what I mean? I can do it once in a while, and that does help. So I don't know, maybe if you want to try to like figure out a way that you can do that yourself for your own self. Sometimes like talking to somebody else about the problems that they have is also really good for you too, because it will help you to kind of like formulate, oh, I've been through that too. I've been through that too. So I can, that sympathizing, that empathizing with the other person can actually do a lot of good for yourself as well. I think that's why like group situations work really well, like a therapy group and that kind of thing. I think that's one of the reasons why it does tend to work for a lot of people, is because you can see not only the problems that you've got yourself, but you can see like your problems within the other person. And if you can give them like any kind of advice or impetus to help them get through the situation, you can maybe turn around and take that same advice and use it against yourself. Sorry guys, I'm trying to read the chat as best as I can. I've got it set up so that my phone has like the font on my phone is like this big, so it's like I have to squint really hard to get it. So if I'm making weird faces and stuff, I'm sorry. I do apologize for the weirdness of how I might look on the camera, but I'm just trying to read how you guys are writing here. Ollie, you're rating me. Oh my goodness. I'm getting rated with a party of 4. Well, hello, welcome everybody. I hope that you guys are having a great day. My name is Blind Dad Does. My name is Ira, and I hope that you guys are having a really, really good day out there. Right now, we're kind of going through some mental health discussions and just having an interesting conversation about what life can be or what life is about, and so on and so forth. And yeah, you guys are welcome to come on in and enjoy yourselves, and pardon any weird looks that I'm going to give, because I'm going to try to look through all the chat here and see who all has come in if I can. But I am blind. The name is legit for a reason. I am blind, so I can only see within a little short viewpoint of things. So okay, I see Maple Syrup is there. Hello, Maple. Nice to see you. And Dark One, welcome. Okay, I think I caught everybody that chatted there. Oh goodness, I'm sorry guys. I've got to try to figure out a way to make this a little bit easier on myself, to make sure that I'm seeing everybody's words, because I don't want to be rude and miss anybody's chat. You know what I mean? I don't want to be rude and miss what anybody wants to say or anything along those lines. So yeah, looking at like talking to somebody who is like in a happy place in their life, it really can be a benefit, like knowing, okay, hey, if they're happy and they've gotten through everything, then maybe there's hope for me. You know what I mean? And sometimes just having that hope is enough to get you through those rough moments. Just having that hope there is enough. Yeah, to know that you're not alone. Because being that feeling of aloneness is one of the worst cancers that you can have. I think that the feeling of aloneness and the question, what if, are the two worst things that we can do to ourselves. And they're the most cancerous things that we can do to ourselves. And sometimes it's hard to avoid either of those, but look, you're here right now in this moment in time. And I fully believe that you're meant to be here in this moment in time, so that you can share this energy back and forth, with yourself, with the others that are here, to like really help you to understand you are not alone, and hopefully that'll help. While you guys are here too, let me give you this. This is something that helped me out, because again, open book, honesty. I am always completely open about everything that I've gone through in my life. I did try to commit suicide 33 times throughout my life. And I'm at the stage now where the thought doesn't cross my mind at all. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm sorry I ended your stream there, Ollie. I didn't realize that would happen. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize you were streaming over there. Well, I appreciate the love. let me give you something that helped me get through those times, because like that last time, it was very hard. Okay. And, so I came up with something for myself to do that I grabbed hold of and ran with, I guess. And I want to give this to you too, in case something like this might be helpful for you. Okay. Because I don't know where you're at in your life as far as suicidal thoughts or anything like that goes. And you don't have to say, don't say it. Okay. And I'm not even talking to you. I'm talking to you, you know, I want you to wake up in the morning, and I want you to decide in that moment whether today is the day that you're going to do it. Today is the day whether or not you're going to commit suicide or not. I want you to make that decision. But before you answer the question, I want you to do something else. I want you to write down on a piece of paper all of the reasons why you think you should. All of the reasons why you believe it is the right thing for you to do. Okay? And I also want you to write down on that same piece of paper all of the reasons why you wouldn't want to. And I want you to come up with every little thing for both sides that you can think of. Okay? Reasons to stay. You love the smell of pizza. You love cats. You love your sister's face. You love, I don't know. I don't care. Whatever it is, whatever you love, write it down. And the promise that you need to make yourself is that if you have one thing on the list of reasons not to do it, then you have already decided that day that you're not going to do it. The decision is made. And if the impetus through the day comes up again, you can tell yourself, I already answered this. Today is not the day. Okay? And I promise you, you will always have at least one reason not to. If you want to try to come up with one. If you give it your best go, you're always going to have at least one reason to stay. And if you have just one reason, that's good enough. You've made your decision. It's not going to happen. Okay? This is going to you do this on both the good days and the bad days. The days when the impetus is there and the days when it's not. Do it every single day. Every day. Because you're already going to be in the habit of doing it on those days when you wake up and you feel suicidal. You're going to be in the habit. You're still going to do the same list every day. Okay? So what will happen is not only is it giving you the reason to stay, right? Again, the decision's already made. I know the biggest hardship when it comes to suicidal thoughts is this debate that goes on in your head. Should I stay? Should I do it? What are the reasons for me to stay? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. You've already got them on the list. You already know. You can look at the list. It's right there. This is the reason for me to stay. The decision's been made. It's already on the list. Okay. But you're also going to have a list of things that you think are going wrong with your life that you can start to work on one at a time and try to break down. Let's see what I can do to fix this. Let's see what I can do to fix this. Let's see what I can do to fix this. You see what I mean? It's helpful. It'll help you to get through those days when you just freaking can't. It's really, I don't know. I think it'll be a help if you really give it an honest shot. Okay. So I don't know who that message was for, but it was for somebody. I felt the pressure to do it. Okay. So it was for somebody. Somebody needed to hear that. All right. All right. So moving on. Hi, Dan. Welcome to the show. And I hope that you're having a really good day. You can't afford a car. So you ride your bicycle every day. Okay. Ollie. That is rough. That really is. That's hard. That's hard when you're in a position where you can't afford things. I definitely understand that. With my disability, I got really screwed with my disability. I really did. I worked for many years really hard. I mean, there were weeks that I'd make $1,400 a week, you know? And so when I lost my vision, and I went to apply for the disability, it took me 7 years to get on disability. And, when I finally did, I'm going to let you guys guess how much a month do you guys think I get with Social Security? Just make a wild guess. See how much you can guess that I get a month to live on. $1,500. Hey Tina, welcome. 400. Well, you're closer there. 600. My son is disabled as well. He's never worked a day in his life, and he gets like $300 more a month than I do. Where's the logic in that? Where's the decency in that? How is one supposed to live off of $600 a month, right? I mean, that doesn't even pay rent. And they expect somebody to live on that as a month, right? I mean, I got a family to feed here, you know? How the hell is somebody supposed to do this, right? So yeah, it's peanuts. It really is. You know, but then I've known people also that have never worked a damn day in their life, and they're getting like $1,200 and $1,500 out of it. And it's like, what? So, I mean, I definitely understand the affordability thing. It sucks. I've lived homeless, you know, I've lived out of my car before, and it was rough, you know, but there are things that you can do to try to get through it. You know, if you're working, you know, if you're trying your best to be your best, that's all that anybody can ever ask of you. And that's all that I can ever ask of anybody. Just be the best you that you can be in this moment in time. And that doesn't mean the best you all the time. That just means the best you can be in this moment in time. And I promise you things will change. I do. I promise you things will change. Yeah, it really is shameful, Tina. It really is. It's rough, you know, especially because I don't really have much of a choice, you know, with my blindness. What else am I supposed to do? You know, I mean, it's sad because you could walk into like the Social Security Administration with half a head missing, both your arms missing, and one leg gone, and they'll still tell you, well, you can work somewhere. Well, what the hell am I supposed to work? You know, if you think I can, you point me to where and I'll go do it. Right. I mean, but you know, it's like I could go work at McDonald's, but then I'm going to have to face plant myself down into the grill to be able to see where the patties are to be able to do anything. Are you sure you want me that far down there into the face fryer? You know, I mean, that's where I'm going to be, you know. It's hard. It really is. Yeah, my wife is like half my age almost, you know, and she gets more than I do, you know, and I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, out of the three of us, I'm the one that worked the longest and worked the most, and yet I get the least. It's sad, man. I tell you, it really is. Listen, guys, I need to take a quick break. I'm going to be right back, but unfortunately, the nature is calling a little bit here. So let me be right back with you guys. Please don't go anywhere. Stick around. I'll be right back. I caught you before the 5 minutes was up. I have returned. Let me get comfy again here real quick. Okay. Am I comfy? I don't know. Oh shoot. My baby Yoda was trying to attack me there. I have arrived. It's dangerous, but I have arrived.
Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you.
I love you too. Anyways, so, yeah, again, you know, when it comes to mental health stuff, when it comes to all of this stuff, the one thing that I want you guys to really take away from anything that I'm saying is that you're going to get through it. Okay. As long as you're here tomorrow, you're going to get through it. Okay. It might take a while. It really might. And I hate to say that. I hate to like not give you guys hope to hold on to, you know, but the hope to hold on to is that you're going to be here tomorrow. It may not be a better day, but it's going to be a day. Okay. And the more of these days that you can have to get through, the better it's going to get. You know, the better it's going to get. Sometimes the troubles that we go through in life, we don't know why it's there. We don't know what's going to happen on tomorrow. You know, we feel like we can't plan things. We feel like we don't know ourselves, and all of that stuff is there, you know, and it's like the more of an outsider's view into yourself you can try to take for yourself, I think the more chance you have at being able to figure out how to make things better. You know what I mean? And again, sometimes that means coming into a place like this where you're amongst strangers and amongst strange people, strange people and strange people, and just letting it out, just letting it all out, because you don't know us. Obviously, you know, in this place, it's apparent that we're not going to be judgmental, right? So, and even if so, you know, you still had a chance to get it out somewhere, somehow. And like I said earlier, you know, for me, when I was younger, one of the things that I did for myself was I wrote, and I've been a writer for years. You know, I've got 14 books published. I've got dozens of short stories published, but these things that I wrote in regards to these emotions that I was feeling with everything, nobody has seen the light of day of, and they probably never will. Tina, I'm very sorry to hear about that. I really am. That is hard. That is hard. And I know Jolene doesn't mind me talking about this. She can definitely get where you're coming from with that too. My wife, Jolene, her dad committed suicide when she was 6 months old. So, it's hard. It really is. Yeah. 5 months old. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading everything there. Yeah, Jolene's had to deal with a lot of suicide over the years too. I've dealt with a couple of people in my life committing suicide as well. And not only suicide, but very stupid self-imposed deaths as well. Like for instance, one of the first ones was my cousin when I was 9 years old, ended up killing himself by going out and playing with homemade pipe bombs and blew his guts out because he was stupid with it. And he was 11 years old, you know. Suicide is a hard thing, you know. It's like there are people that think that it's very selfish of the person to commit suicide. There are others that think that it was the right thing for them to do and all that kind of stuff. And I can't say one way or the other because I'm guilty of trying to do it myself 33 times. I mean, that's a lot of times for someone to try, you know. And I don't know why I never succeeded other than the fact that, okay, I was meant to be here still, you know. for whatever reason that might be. I don't know. But for whatever reason that might be, I'm still here because I didn't succeed. I understand the agony that someone goes through when they're trying to decide whether or not to stay. And that is a hard place to be in. It's a very hard place to be in. And if you don't feel like you have the strength to get through and you can't figure out a way to do it, and that's the only option that's left to you or that you believe is left to you, then I can't blame you. You know, I can't judge you because I went through it too. But I also understand the survivor's perspective of it too at this point in time. And it's hard to also not feel the anger from a survivor standpoint of someone who ends up doing it. It is, I think the anger is rightful. I do. And probably the anger stems from having guilt over the feeling of not being able to help the person to get through whatever it is that they were going through, you know? So sorry guys, I'm just trying to catch up on chat, so I'm making sure that I don't miss anybody here. Please be patient with me, with the blind guy here. So Tina, that's what I was talking about with the fact that it's like hard to judge somebody when it's that kind of a circumstance, you know. If he knew that he just didn't have any other choice and he didn't want you guys to see it, you know, it's hard to be angry at that, even though anger at it would be a rightful thing, you know. That's a hard thing to put somebody through too, you know. I know that guilt has to be there with you too, that he did it to save you from guilt, but I mean, it probably gave you just as much guilt, right? Because he did it for you. That's a hard place to be in. Hogan, go to bed. Yeah, you got to go to work tomorrow. Thank you so much. Yes, I will be here definitely more often. I plan on streaming pretty much every day because I'm blind. I don't go out of the house. You guys are my only real social outlet. So you guys are my friends. I don't have anybody else. Except my family that's here. You know, there's not really anybody else in my life. So this is definitely something that I'm going to be a part of. So yes, and I would love to see you come back again. Very grateful for you being here with me tonight. Thank you. So Iron Save, with your parents, that, I mean, I could not imagine going through that as their child. I mean, that is rough. That is rough. How did you get through that? Like, if you don't mind sharing, what helped you to get through that situation? See, I agree with that, Iron. I do think, I'm not a religious person in any way, shape, or form. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. But still, I'm aware that there are things that are outside of ourselves, and that can be helpful, and that it's necessary for some people. It is. Martin, hello, welcome. I haven't seen you in here yet. Welcome to the show, and I hope that you're having a really good night. I think that looking at, again, that overview perspective that I was talking about earlier, that's where that higher power kind of thing comes into play too, is that you're kind of using the energy from outside of yourself to give yourself a reason to move forward, and that's not a bad thing. It's not. Iron. Well, I'm glad that you decided not to, and that you survived through it. It's because you've been a blessing in my life for sure. And I didn't know that you went through that with your parents. That's a nasty one. It really is. I think that there are things that we go through in life that it's like it almost becomes an untenable situation for us to try to get through, and it's hard to figure out ways to get past that. It's hard to figure it out. If you can, you do come through it stronger. I mean, that there is that thought of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And it really does. It really does. If nothing else, from a perspective of, I survived this. And if I survived this, then I can get through anything, but yeah. Getting serious on you guys here. I'm sorry if I'm getting too serious with everything, but it's important to talk about. I think this stuff is important to talk about, and not really enough people give a space to be able to do it, and that's one of the, I'm not going to do this kind of thing with every show. Honestly, I do want to have like a lot of fun with you guys and joke around with you guys and all that kind of stuff. But I just felt like there was a need tonight for a little bit of seriousness. I was looking through the whole just chatting thing on Twitch, and there was, just so much fluff going on. I kind of like viewed a couple of different people, and I'm just like, oh, no, this isn't for me today. You know what I mean? But, good. Yeah. I've been concerned about you. I really have, Iron. I know you've been through a lot of late. Yeah, I come from the generation where not talking about it was definitely a thing. I'm 50. I've got my gray hairs to show it. I've got my battle scars to show it. And I've earned every single one of these, by the way. I have earned every single one of those. I went through that generation of, we can't talk about it. We can't, nobody discusses it, nobody anything. And I worked at a facility where the people that were there had been there for years, like literally from birth forward. And they went through so much hell. They went through abuse. They went through, you name it. Like, I'll tell you one thing that happened to one of my kids there. And I called them my kids. These guys were like 50, 60 years old. I was like 20, you know what I mean? But they were still my kids, because they had the mental status of like 6 months old and 9 months old. And there was one who was there. His name was Danny. And somebody along the way, he was 72, I think it was, by the time that I was there. And somebody along the way had taught him, and bear in mind, this guy was blind and he was deaf, but somebody had taught him how to make a little bunny rabbit out of his socks. Okay. I don't know who it was that taught him this, but it was somewhere in the past he had been taught this. And listen, the reason why he was thrown into this institution to begin with was because he was blind at birth. That's the only reason why he was there. That's how the past generation was. You know, the family was told, well, just bring him in here and we'll take care of him and you won't have to worry about him. So he became a ward of the state, you know. That's how most of the guys there were. Anyway, somebody had taught him how to make this bunny out of his socks by taking like the little elastic pieces and that kind of thing and wrapping them up in a certain way that it became a little bunny rabbit, you know. And I had no problem with him making a little bunny out of his socks. What the hell, you know? But I saw, and I reported the abuse and nothing happened with it. Nothing happened with it. But I saw somebody beat him because he had ruined his socks again and they had to change his socks for him. What? I don't get that, you know? I don't understand how somebody can do that to somebody. You know what I mean? Tina, I hope that tonight has helped you. I do. I hope that tonight has helped you in any little way that I can. After I quit working at this place, I had a family member that still worked there as well. And they told me that Danny ended up dying not too long after I left. And the reason why is because, okay, when he was growing up, I suspect it was through abuse, but something happened to his throat where his throat was a little bit bent in a certain way. So if he ate something that didn't, that was like kind of like bread or pancakes or things like that, you know, where it was a little bit dry, he would choke. And so we would have to like wet his pancakes down with like a lot of syrup or a little bit of milk or something like that, right? So he went to breakfast and the attendants that were there didn't cut his food up at all and just left it there. Didn't moisten it at all, just left it there, knowing that he had these issues and knowing that he had a proclivity to just stuffing the whole pancake into his mouth, which he did. He stuffed the pancake into his mouth and he started to choke. And the attendants didn't notice for the first few moments. And when they finally did, they turned to one of the doctors who was there also eating his breakfast in the cafeteria and said, help, help. And the doctor said, no, I'm on break right now. I'm not going to deal with it. And let the boy die. Let this guy die by choking because he didn't want to deal with it. You know, what kind of screwed up humanity is that? I don't care if the kid had guy 72 years old. I don't care if he had the mental issues that he did or what, you know, but you can't do that to another human being. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it, you know? I don't get it. I had to come to terms with all of that, you know? I had to come to terms with the thought that if I was there still, would he have gone through that? You know, if I was the attendant that was there, would he have died? You know? So it's that what if game that we play with ourselves to try to bring our own selves down over and over. You know what I mean? It's hard. I mean, me too. You know, it's like Tina, I've seen the greatest bits of humanity over the years, and I've seen the worst bits of humanity over the years. And it's hard to come through all of that still thinking that there's hope for humanity. You know what I mean? But I'm a big believer in Star Trek. You know, I think that Star Trek, I'm a big fan of it. You know, I'm wearing my Star Trek shirt right now. I think that humanity does have the capability of being what Star Trek showed us humanity has the possibility to be, you know, where we can come to a point in our lives or in our species where we have gotten through scarcity. We've gotten through the idea that money is a thing. We've gotten through poverty, gotten through hunger. What's left, the push to make ourselves better is what's left, that's what remains. And, I think that, even in the shows, we still saw like the evil that humans can do. Right. But at the same time, I stole your thunder, Iron. Yeah. I saw you were just posting something about Star Trek there as I was talking about it too. But I do think that we as a human species are capable of doing that once we get past certain aspects of ourselves. We've got to get past like these, because I think that we as humanity, we have kind of almost a set of genetic traumas that we have to get through. And we do still have a lot of maturity to do too, before we can really make much more progress. But right now we're kind of like stuck in a rut going over and over, when we're still like looking at people that are quote unquote different races, even though we're all the same species, as being different than you or something. I'm Native American, right? And it's like my people went through some serious trauma, and I know in my makeup and my kids' makeup, there is some like genetic trauma that's there. We've seen it in ourselves, we need to figure out a way to make it so that instead of just eating each other, we are growing. And I don't see us getting there at this point in time. I talk about this like with AI, for instance. We're trying to create artificial intelligence to like almost make an entire species out of ourselves, right? But are we really ready for that kind of thing? I don't think so, because I don't think that we as humans are mature enough to be able to handle doing that kind of thing, Right, Tina, exactly. That's a really good thing to do. It really is, to give yourself that little bit of hope in humanity is a good thing, because we can get so wrapped up, looking at, I think one of the best things people can do, honestly, is turning off the news. I really do. And this is coming from somebody who was a radio guy doing nothing but news stuff. Okay. And I think one of the best things that one can do is turn off the news, because there's a lot of truth behind the thought that what we feed ourselves is what we end up getting. You know what I mean? And when you look at the news, it's nothing but sex, drugs, rock and roll, and nasty. You know what I mean? And nothing that's wrong with sex, drugs, or rock and roll, by the way. I was getting to the point of being nasty. So, it's it really is a thing. Turn off the news and instantly you're already going to be de-stressing, degaussing yourself a little bit from that negative energy. Yeah, exactly. That alone can do a lot, though. Just inundating yourself with whatever energies you're wanting to feel can actually make a big difference in how you feel. Taking it from a business perspective, okay, because I've got a big business background, right? Especially in trying to teach companies like how to improve their relationships with their customers and stuff. So from like a business entrepreneurial standpoint, the people that you hang around with are the people that you are going to become yourself. So if you're around people who are nothing but negativity and toxic people, then ultimately that's what you're feeding yourself. And unfortunately, that's probably what you're going to end up feeling, is that negativity and toxicity. If you're, however, around people who want to be successful, around people who are positive, around people who are transferring that kind of energy that's healing to you rather than harmful to you, then that's the energy that you're ultimately going to feel. I hope that makes sense. You want to transform yourself in a good way. You do it by starting with what you're feeding yourself. And I don't mean food. I mean like energetically speaking. It makes a huge difference in what your life can become. Because unfortunately, we as humans, we have a tendency to look at the negative things. We really do. Our skew tends to be towards the negative because that's where like the dangers is in the shadows. But we don't live in those darknesses. We have to maybe pay attention to them here and there, but we don't live in those darknesses. We as human beings, we can kind of step away or outside of that kind of thing. Some moms know. Yeah, some moms know. And unfortunately, some moms are the toxic people themselves, you know, just saying, you know, some people have to deal with that kind of thing, but some moms do have that like almost inherent understanding, you know, that this is not a person that you want to be around for whatever reason. But yeah, it is definitely a thing that if you, put good energy in, good energy is ultimately going to be added to your mix, you know, and it will help to like slowly uplift you. And, you know, one of the things that I do when I'm feeling down, for instance, is I like to watch like funny videos or kitten videos and that kind of thing. You know, I mean, listen, the entirety of human history is at our fingertips in these phones, right? And most people spend their time watching kitten videos. I think it's because so many people are inundated with these negative things in their lives all the time that they just feel this need to have some kind of positivity, you know? And so it's like an instinctive thing that they're looking at these kittens or funny videos and that kind of thing instead of, you know, looking at other things. Need to take a drink here real quick. Need to hydrate. Sometimes on my streams, one of our cats, Eva, likes to come up here on my lap, but she's not with us tonight. She's running around sleeping elsewhere. I think she's in our son's room, but yeah, we love cats here. Love all animals, you know. In my house, I used to have back in the day, I had a lot of pets, and so I had I hate to say how many. I had 16 cats. We had a bat, snakes, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, here you go. Okay, she's here. This is Eva. Hi, Eva. How you doing, baby girl? Oh, she gave a meow to you guys. This is Eva. She's our good girl. She's definitely an emotional support cat for sure. Okay, you gonna go now? Better? Okay. I don't want to drop her accidentally. There you go. Oh, thank you so much for the follow there, Wee Rooney. I appreciate it. And I hope I'm pronouncing your username correctly there. It's a little hard for me to see, but I think I am. I'm glad, you know, I'm glad that tonight has been helpful to a lot of people here. And this is kind of what I love to do, is just come on and talk and help and be fun and enjoy and, you know, just talk about the weird stuff that people just don't tend to talk about. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's funny. Our son has autism, Tina. He's severely autistic, and Eva hangs out with him pretty much all the time. Like, she's always in his room, sleeping at the end of his bed and sleeping with him and, you know, sitting up in his lap and everything like that. She's all about him. And, yeah, she's a great cat. We also have another one, Elliot, who is, I don't think in the room either at the moment, but, he's a little more butt-headed, but, we love him. He's a great cat. And he's one of those cats. He originally, I think he was raised by dogs raised with dogs at first, because so many of his attitudes and the way that he acts are so dog-like. Like, instead of like his tail going up and that kind of thing, he actually wags it like a dog. You know, I mean, just all kinds of weird weird little foibles that he has are so dog-like. Just great. Yeah, cats really do know. You know, it bugs me when people say that like animals can't think or feel or things like that, because I have seen so many times in my life that is the biggest lie ever told. It really is. Especially ones that are domesticated. You know, I mean, the great thing about cats is that we didn't even domesticate them. They domesticated themselves. They own us. So, but yeah, I love cats. Cats are great. I had 16 cats, 2 dogs, 2 rabbits, a bat, some snakes, some spiders. Yeah, all in the same house at the same time. Granted, they weren't like all indoors all the time. Our cats were outdoor cats, and we would put our bunnies out all the time and that kind of thing. But yeah, we had a lot. Snakes and spiders. Yep. Mostly I felt bad because a lot of the times it was animals that my cats would catch and bring home. So I would try to do what I could to like take care of them and let them go back out in the wild. So like the bat, for instance, one of my cats, Dot, had brought home and left it for me as a gift. And so I took it to the vet, and our vet loved us because he always said that I always brought him the most unique things. So he actually never even charged us for bringing these things in, because he loved the chance to work on them, you know? So yeah. The master of the house. Well, I mean, the cats are, you know, absolutely. They own us. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Cats definitely own us. And they know it. They know it. But they're great. You know, they really do. They have an understanding of humans in ways that are really weird. But I think cats have the ability to teleport. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that cats can actually teleport? I have seen, I kid you not, I have seen, yeah, Elliot is also super jealous of me and Jolene. Like anytime that we kiss or hold hands or something like that, he is right there trying to get us to stop so that he'll get the attention. He's super jealous. One time we had something that we needed to do in the house. So Elliot, we never really wanted to let out where we lived because there was a highway that was right behind our house. So we, whenever we needed to do things where we were going to be in and out of the house, we would have to lock him in the bedroom. And so, yeah, cats don't share at all. So, we locked him in the bedroom, and now bear in mind, this bedroom was like closed off. There was no like vents going into the other rooms or anything along those lines. Right. And, the door was completely shut, 100% shut away, shut tight. And within a few minutes, here comes Elliot traipsing out into the living room like nothing was going on. And I walked to the bedroom. I'm like, how'd you get out? You know, did you get the door open? Door was still closed and bolted shut. How the hell did you get out? There's literally no other way to get out of this room than the door. And he got out. I think he teleported. I think he apparated from one place to another inside the house and just was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be locked in there. Not today. Not today, bro. Have you guys ever experienced that kind of thing with cats? It's crazy. I've seen it happen more often than not. Y'all might think I'm weird, but I'm telling the truth here. Yep, teleportation. 100%. I also had a pet skunk. For a while. This skunk was great, though. I was young. I named him Peppy. What else, you know? But he didn't have his scent glands anymore, so you know he couldn't like spray or anything like that. But you know, he looked like a skunk. He was a skunk, right? So there was one day I was out taking him for a walk, and I would walk him like a dog. I'd have him on a leash and walk him around for a little while. And yeah, 100%. That cat can teleport. Anyways, so I was taking him for a walk, and there was a dog that was like a block away from our home. It got off of his leash and he saw me coming with my pet and came running. Like he was tearing down the road. Right. And, my skunk turned around and lifted its tail up. And as soon as that dog recognized what was standing there, I swear, like I literally heard brakes hit. It was like, and he came skidding to a stop and turned around and ran the other way. He's like, no, I ain't messing with that skunk now. I know what that is. So glands or not, he definitely protected me from that dog that day. Yeah, I love animals. They're great. What's the weirdest pets you guys have ever owned? That would probably be my weirdest. Like you wouldn't think of somebody owning a skunk, but yeah, that was a fun one. He got a little bit too rambunctious for our house though. So we ended up, taking him to it's a local place here called Fox Island. They take like all kinds of different animals. And it's like a big 1,000 acres worth of land that they've dedicated as a animal sanctuary kind of a thing. So we took him there and we were able to let him go into the wilds there, which was fine. You know, he I'm sure he did okay. He was kind of wild to begin with, but we adopted him because somebody had hit him with a car and he survived it. But at the time he wasn't able to go back into the wild. But by the time he was with us for a while, he was well enough to handle it. So only thing he didn't have was his glands, but apparently he didn't need them that day. So other weirdnesses. So I had a bear attack my car one time. I also had a deer attack my car in a big way. This deer was crazy. I was driving down the road and I must have been going a good 50 mile an hour. And I looked out of the corner of my eye and I saw there was a big stag that was running along the side of the road. And, we live here in Indiana. You see this kind of thing a lot, right? There's a lot of deer up in this area here. And, so it was running super fast and I'm like, okay, it's going to turn and either go into the woods or it's going to slow down and like cross the road behind me or something. But something about my car pissed it off apparently, because it started like coming at my car. It veered and it like slammed into the side of my car. I'm going 50 miles an hour. This thing, bam, right into the side of my car and about knocked me off the road. And I'm like, oh, crap, what's going on? And then suddenly, wham, it hits me again. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like hitting the gas hard trying to get away from it. Oh gosh, it was scary. And by the time that I got away from it and stopped the car, I found holes in my door from where this thing had like rammed its antler into the door as it was running beside me. I'm like, geez, what is up with this? What is up with this deer? I don't know who pissed in its Cheerios this morning, but it wasn't me. Why are you coming at me, bro? It was pretty nuts. So I've been through some weirdnesses over the years. That's for sure. That is for sure. But anyways, listen guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for the evening. I've been on for a couple of hours. My voice is starting to get a little bit tired, but I will be back for sure tomorrow. And I might be back on again later tonight. I'm not sure yet. But if I do come back on tonight, I might be doing something like Fallout or something like that, Fallout 76. But I still will definitely be conversing about all the weirdnesses that come into my head because that's what I do. That is what I do. However, let me say again how deeply thankful I am for all of you guys being here. I don't have anybody outside of the home to talk to. And I know it sounds sad, right? But it's true. I don't really have anybody else that I can converse with. I'm very much within this very small circle because I don't have the ability to get out and go. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with me and for listening and for talking and just for being a part of my existence and allowing me to be a part of yours for these few moments. I love you all deeply, and I want to I hope that you understand how grateful I am. In the meantime, keep safe out there. Have fun. Thank you so much as always for being here. Yes, I will. In fact, I think, let me see. I think it's on the Twitch page. Actually, there's a donate button that's there. And if it's not, I'll definitely be putting it there. If you're willing, I would be so grateful. And it'll go directly to helping me feed my family. So, in the meantime, keep safe out there. Have fun. Thank you so much as always for being here. And I will talk to you again later.
Incoming customer detected.
Keep your eyes open, boys.